My friends, every year we talk about goals, resolutions, and dreams. Every December we sit down and think about what we could have done better, what we could have achieved, and what we could have changed. But very few of us take the time to ask the most important question of all: what kind of person am I becoming? Because if you want the next year to be different, you don't just change your plans, you change your story. You start to write yourself. You decide who you want to be when the calendar turns, not by chance, not by luck, but by choice. So tonight, I want to talk to you about something deeper than goals and plans. I want to talk about authorship, about taking the pen back into your own hands and writing the next chapter of your life with courage, clarity, and conviction. Because 2026 won't just be another year, it will be the result of who you choose to become today. We live in a world that's constantly trying to write us. The world tells you who to be, what to think, how to act. Social media writes stories for you, stories of perfection that make you feel less, stories of success that make you question your worth, stories of other people's highlights while you're fighting your silent battles. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to live a script that isn't yours. You wake up, go to work, follow routines, scroll endlessly, and before you know it, months pass and you're left wondering, where did my story go? But the truth is, your life is still in your hands, the pages aren't finished, the ink hasn't dried. You can still write yourself again. You can still design a version of you that reflects strength, wisdom, discipline, and peace. The problem isn't that life doesn't give you chances. The problem is that too many of us stop giving ourselves permission to grow. We settle for a story that's smaller than what we were meant to live. 2026 can be the year you turn that around, not by waiting for the world to change, but by changing the way you see yourself, by realizing that the story of your life isn't being written by fate, it's being written by your daily choices. You can't control what happens, but you can always control what you do with it. And that's what separates dreamers from doers. That's what separates people who talk about a better year from those who create one. So let me ask you, what are you writing right now? Are you writing excuses or discipline? Are you writing fear or courage? Are you writing a life of reaction or a life of intention? Because the sentences of your days become the paragraphs of your life. Every morning you wake up, you're writing another page. Every choice you make, you're shaping the story that will define you in the year ahead. And I know, it's not easy. Some of you have gone through things this year that have left you exhausted. You've faced disappointments that made you question whether you can rise again. You've watched people move ahead while you stood still, wondering when it will finally be your turn. I get that, but I want to remind you, your story isn't over when it gets hard. That's when it gets real. That's when the greatest characters are written. The truth is, struggle doesn't erase your story. It enriches it. The pain you felt, the losses you endured, the nights you couldn't sleep. They are not the end of you. They're the chapters that make your victory meaningful. They're the moments that prove your resilience. And maybe you don't see it yet. But every hardship you've faced this year was preparing you for the strength you'll need next year. So, as we stand on the edge of a new year, don't wait for 2026 to be kind to you. Be kind to yourself first. Don't wait for opportunities to knock. Build the doors. Don't wait for motivation to arrive. Create discipline. Because 2026 won't reward wishes. It will reward work. It won't honor intentions. It will honor action. If you truly want to prepare yourself for the next year, start by defining who you want to be before deciding what you want to do. Write a character before you write a plan, because you can have all the strategies in the world, but if your mindset is weak, your plans will fall apart. You can have the biggest goals, but if your habits are inconsistent, your progress will fade. So start small, wake up with purpose, make your bed, not because it's a big thing, but because it's a small promise kept. Read something that feeds your mind. Talk to yourself with respect. Move your body not to impress anyone, but to remind yourself you're alive. Learn something new each week. Surround yourself with people who push you higher, not those who keep you comfortable. These little actions are not random. They are the sentences of your story. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize they wrote the version of you who finally succeeded. I want you to think about 2026, not as a destination, but as a reflection of 2025's discipline. The next year won't change your life. This year's decisions will. The next year won't bring you luck. It will bring you the results of your consistency. The next year won't give you confidence. It will mirror the effort you invest today. So if you want 2026 to be the best year of your life, make 2025 the year of rewriting yourself. Write yourself as someone who doesn't quit when things get tough. Write yourself as someone who shows up even when no one's watching. Write yourself as someone who believes, even when doubt screams louder. You can't control how people see you, but you can control how you see yourself. And that perspective, that belief is where real change begins. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working, days when your progress seems invisible, but remember, growth is often silent. Seeds grow underground long before they rise toward the light. Your efforts today might not be visible, but they are shaping the roots of your future. The hours you spend studying, the sacrifices you make for your goals, the moments you choose discipline over distraction, they're all forming the foundation of the 2026 version of you. And let me tell you something powerful. There is no greater satisfaction than seeing yourself become who you once dreamed of being. When you start to see the reflection of your effort, when you start to feel stronger, wiser, calmer, that's when you realize you didn't just survive another year, you rewrote your story. But to get there, you have to stop comparing your story to others. Because your chapter 3 will never look like someone else's chapter 20. Everyone is walking through different storms, carrying different weights, and fighting different battles. Don't measure your progress by someone else's timeline. The only person you need to compete with is the person you were yesterday. Too many people lose their peace trying to live a story that isn't theirs. They chase trends, mimic lifestyles, and forget that authenticity is the greatest power they have. Don't let that be you. Don't let the world write your script. Write your own, because there's something unique about you that no one else can replicate. Your voice, your vision, your pain, your lessons, they all matter. They're your signature in the book of life. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I've failed too many times. I've wasted too many chances. Let me tell you, failure doesn't define you. Stagnation does. Every person who ever achieved greatness failed repeatedly, but they didn't let those moments become their identity. They used them as ink for their next page. They turned their mistakes into lessons, their fears into fuel, their regrets into resolve. That's what you can do too. So if you fell this year, get up. If you lost focus, find it again. If you broke your own promises, forgive yourself and start anew. Don't let guilt hold your pen hostage. The story isn't over until you stop writing, and as long as you have breath in your body, you have the power to begin again. Think of your life as a novel. Every chapter should show growth. Every page should reveal learning. You might have written chapters of pain, but that doesn't mean your book can't end in triumph. You might have written chapters of confusion, but clarity is just a few honest pages away. What matters is that you keep writing, consciously, intentionally, bravely. Let's talk about mindset for a moment, because no matter how motivated you feel right now, life will test that energy. There will be days when your plan falls apart, when you lose faith, when the vision seems impossible. But the key to surviving those moments is remembering that the story is bigger than the chapter. A bad day doesn't mean a bad life. A setback doesn't mean failure. It's just a pause in the plot, a space for you to grow stronger. So when things go wrong, don't ask why me. Ask, what is this teaching me? When life pushes you down, don't stay there. Use that pain as paper. Use that fire as ink. Write your comeback. Because the people who succeed aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who keep rewriting their way forward. And as you prepare yourself for the coming year, promise yourself this: you will not enter 2026 carrying the same fears that held you back in 2025. You will not drag the same excuses, the same habits, the same doubts. You will step into that year lighter, clearer, and ready to write a chapter so powerful that it makes the previous ones worth it. How do you do that? You start today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, you sit with yourself, you reflect, you ask, who do I want to be in 2026? What habits will that version of me have? What kind of mindset, routine, and energy will they carry? And then you start acting like that person now, because transformation isn't a date on a calendar. It's a decision made daily. You want a better year, then build better mornings. You want success, build consistency. You want peace, build discipline. The life you want won't come by accident. It will come by design, and design takes time, effort, and faith. Remember, no author finishes a masterpiece overnight. They write, rewrite, edit, and grow with every word. That's what you must do with your life. Don't be afraid to rewrite your mistakes. Don't be afraid to remove characters who no longer belong. Don't be afraid to change direction if the story no longer reflects your truth. That's not failure. That's authorship. There's a beautiful power that comes when you stop waiting for someone to save you and start realizing you are your own author. You become unstoppable because you're no longer waiting for perfect conditions. You're creating them. You're no longer chasing validation. You're finding it within. And when you start living like that, 2026 won't just be another year. It will be your proof that you can reinvent yourself completely. I believe that inside every one of us there's a version waiting to be written, a stronger, wiser, bolder version of ourselves. But it only comes alive when we stop reading old chapters and start creating new ones. So don't cling to who you were. Step boldly into who you're becoming. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are the writer, the creator, the author of your next chapter. And as long as you keep that pen in your hand, there's nothing that can stop you from becoming the person you were meant to be. So as this year comes to an end, take a deep breath. Forgive yourself for the pages that hurt. Celebrate the ones that healed, and then turn the page, because the next chapter is blank and the pen is in your hand. Write yourself into 2026 with intention, with strength, with hope. The world hasn't seen your best chapter yet. Now go write it.